Well, we welcome you back, everybody, to the Euroformula Open Championship ahead of round 2 here at SPA-FRANCORCHAMPS. One race down, 2 more to go. We arrive here at this 7.004 kilometre circuit with 13 laps, 30 minutes max to take us through this event. And this is going to be an astonishing race. Certainly, if anything from yesterday is to go by. A race win decided on the final lap of asking. Conditions vastly different to what we saw yesterday as well, with rainfall coming in at 5 a.m. local time here at Spa. But now since then, things have kind of steadied up, but we are still largely overcast, with humidity taking probably its highest point through this weekend. But yesterday, it was Yevon David who certainly set or stoked the fire, the Sri Lankan fire, that is. He's got a slightly larger challenge at hand here this time after grabbing his first pole position this weekend in the Euroformula Open Championship. After winning yesterday's race, he has got 2 subsequent races where he is going to be starting from 6th place, including this one today. But the opportunity is now handed to Michael Shin, who had a roller coaster of a first race yesterday after breaking the front wing at the very get-go. Then coming into the pits for the change, was given an olive branch after the safety car came out. But then eventually, after the tap from Everett Stack coming through the bus stop chicane, was then routed further back in 6th place. He'll be back, though, this time around on P1 pole position alongside his nemesis Everett Stack here in this race, with Ed Pearson in behind him, as well as Diego Della Torre, who was absolutely sensational yesterday. And his team came to me, his engineer said, we like to call him Diego Della Danger. And I think he could be dangerous here this morning, but we'll find out very shortly whether that is the case. George Morgan, your commentator, back in the commentary box, joining me once again, the one, the only, the majestic, the maestro himself. Some call him a tyre brand, I certainly don't. To me, he's Ewan Dunlop. Welcome back, Ewan.
Thank you very much, George. Always a pleasure to be here and to listen to your intros. What a race yesterday, truly sensational. I mean, I've only been covering Euroformula a couple of years. I've heard it classed as one of the best races we've ever seen, the best finishes to any race ever in Euroformula. It wasn't just Spa, it wasn't just the last lap, it was the last corner, the bus stop chicane. Yevon David going the long way round into the bus stop chicane, taking over Kaharchek at the very death. He will be out for some revenge, my goodness me. Of course, we have a reverse grid from those first race yesterday, which puts Michael Shin in an ominous pole position. 3 second places at Portimao, so frustration coming into this weekend. Well, yeah, happiness and frustration at the same time. 3 podiums, nobody's going to sort of blink at that. But, like George has just said, going from near the front to the back towards the front again, then halfway down the pack in the middle to finish things off. The benefit is, though, of that, he does start in pole position. Can he get his first win of the campaign? We'll find out over the next 13 laps or so. But Yevon David starting in 6th, he will be absolutely trying to fire through that, and I reckon probably at the first corner.
Well, here is our pole sitter ahead of race 2. Michael Shin, as we said, a roller coaster day yesterday, and I'm sure a roller coaster of emotions as well to equal that very fact. But he is on the front row alongside Everett Stack, who made contact with him coming through the final chicane. The man from the States looking for big points here this time, having some final words with team boss Timo Rumpfkeil at Motor Park. And Motor Park will be looking for all points here this time around as well, given the fact that they've got both cars on the front row. Ed Pearson, though, the leading man for Nielsen Racing, the first winner in a Dallara 324 chassis in this championship, with a great opportunity. He fought his way from P10 upwards inside that top 6 yesterday, now returning once more and looking to take some big prizes this time, maybe even make it 2 wins this season. Diego Della Danger, Diego Della Torre, the Mexican sensation, who even his team turned around yesterday and said that he's a largely different driver already from Portimao and looking to make yet grander changes for grander results. There is Timek Kaharchik with such a strong Polish crowd in behind him, of course. Grand support going his way, and came very close to his first win of the season after getting his first podium in race 3 back at Portimao. And there is our race winner, from yesterday. Yevon David continuing his rampant podium run, his 100% podium run, and he is on 3 victories on the spin as of yesterday too. Finn Green, we welcome him back to the series after not even taking part in pre-season testing due to illness. Well, he is back once again and is showing grand improvements. Welcome back Sean Rashid from the United States as well, also on part of the Nielsen Racing team. And we'll be looking for a big start as well to leapfrog his way out of P8 ahead of Paolo Brajnik, who starts 9th. Jose Garfias as well, down in 10th place. He was on fire yesterday. Well, let's take you through the highlights ahead of race 1. And I've got to say, you had plenty to pick from in this one, but it was a great start for Yevon David, who got off to a brilliant start with Jose Garfias featuring in behind him as well after starting on the front row. Michael Shin was also part of the fracas as well further back, ended up dropping further down through the field. Timet Kaharczyk also fought his way through the field as well, was ultimately challenging Yevon David for the race win. There was the moment where we witnessed Jose Garfias come to a very sticky end in terms of his prominence at the highest end of the order. A puncture, of course, shredding away from the tyre led to him having to come into the pits. This was the moment where Everett Stack would make contact as well with Michael Shin after his rampant rise from obscurity. Then came Kaharczyk, looking to take the fight to Yevon David. The Sri Lankan Lion was forced to roar later on in the lap, though, as on the final lap, at the very final corners of asking, he would overtake Kaharczyk to taking a mammoth victory, a 3rd victory in succession, and also continue his stunning 100% podium record since joining us at Monza at the end of last season. And that leads to him being our championship leader on 91 points, 28 clear of Michael Shin in 2nd, with Ed Pearson in 3rd place. For Nielsen Racing, Timet Kaharczyk chasing that first victory, 40 points back from Yevon David. So with race 2 about to get underway, all the cars lining up onto the grid ahead of the formation lap. We'll take you through the starting grid. Michael Shin starting from pole position, alongside him on the front row, Everett Stack, also for Motor Park. Nielsen Racing, Ed Pearson on row 2, in 3rd with Diego De La Torre in Motor Park's P4 position. The Mexican, Timet Kaharczyk on row 3, looking for yet another big race here this time. He's going to be joined by the driver he battled with for the win yesterday, Yevon David in 6th place. Finn Green 7th, Sean Rashid in 8th place on the 4th row. Then comes Paolo Brajnik for NV Racing in 9th, joined by Jose Garfias for Team Motor Park. On that same row of the grid, shall I say. Vladislav Ryabov starting from 11th and quite prominent in qualifying yesterday. He's going to be joined by Fernando Barrichello, who's looking for a recovery after his big crash yesterday brought about that safety car. And of course, they've done so well to get that car repaired overnight as well, Ewan Dunlop. And it was a very disappointing day for Barrichello, who wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a very passionate driver and looking, obviously, for a reprieve this time. Michael Shin having some difficulties to getting off the starting line, which is a little bit of a moment. Now he's got to try and catch up with the rest of the runners. Obviously, nothing untoward just yet. Glad, I'm sure, that he's got the car underway. We are on the formation lap. He can, of course, still form up onto the grid. But scary moments that you certainly don't want transferring over into race trim.
Well, we saw that in Portimao, didn't we? There was several occasions where drivers failed to get away. First race of the season, maybe first day of school nerves. But this has now been declared a wet session with lights on. Now, it hasn't really rained since about 5 a.m. this morning. However, this is Spa. There's a dampness in the air. This place lives with dampness in the air. When we arrived on Friday, oh my goodness, 25 degrees, absolutely glorious. You know it's never going to last here at Spa. They are making their way round then to the front of the grid. And it will be, of course, Michael Shin's going to lead them away. If he can make his way around and get back to the front, of course. It's not what his teammates wanted to see. And Everett Stack and Ed Pearson. Now, just to mention, of course, as well, De La Torre yesterday, fantastic finish. It's really his season has started this weekend, because back in Portimao, a 7th place finish, a 5th, and a non-classification. So only 16 points on the board, which at the time was 49 behind Yevon David. So this is where he can really kick-start his campaign.
Yeah, Diego De La Torre, obviously currently sat 4th and 2nd row of the grid alongside Ed Pearson, who we have got the onboard camera for this weekend. As you can see, currently sat on the 2nd row and just following in behind Everett Stack at the moment, as now the drivers look to get those Pirelli tyres warmed up course, using the softer compound in comparison to last year, which the drivers have now, as a result, been forced to manage throughout the course of every race weekend. It is obviously a challenge, but nonetheless, that's exactly what makes the best drivers tick. And we'll soon see how good the likes of Timek Kaharczyk and Yevon David are based on previous form, as they've now got to fight their way through from P5 and P6 to put themselves in that win proximity and to take down this man who went through the entire 3 races that we had at Portimao with a second place in every single one. The only difference was taking the fastest lap in the final one in race 3. There's the view from the Motor Park garage as they all get situated ready for this, what I'm sure will be an astonishing race. Giuseppe Mazzotti lining up with 2 BVM cars, with a 3rd car rumoured to be coming in very, very soon. So watch this space, folks at home, as now the cars line up on the grid ahead of race 2 here on the Spa weekend. On the left of your screen, it's Michael Shin. On the right, Everett Stack. Green flags being waved by the marshal, as now all 5 lights are lit and they go out. It's pedal to the metal and it's go, 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 go. Great start from Michael Shin. No stallers at the start here. This time around, another race where we've seen them all get away safely. It's Michael Shin now heading in towards turn 1. A pinch point coming through La Source, but all drivers make it through okay. Yevon David, a mammoth getaway. Where has he come from? P6, and he has flown up into P3. Half the places gained already in pursuit of a race lead. He has had an almighty start, and now as they fly through Rouge and Radion, he's in pursuit of 2nd place. He's got Everett Stack, and stacking up the overtakes is certainly going to be Yevon David, the Sri Lankan wonder, in full pursuit of this, as is Ed Pearson, as we rode on board with him as well. But looking to the lead, he surely couldn't, could he? No, not quite. Yevon David forced to remain in behind in 2nd, but what a getaway from him, and a spinner coming through out of Les Combes. Oh my goodness me, can't quite see who that was. I think it might have been Jose Garfias, who is around at Les Combes. We will get confirmation of that, folks, but coming through Rivage, it is Michael Shin, as we now see a car running wide. I think that might have been Sean Rashid coming through out of that first sector into sector 2 as we run on board with Ed Pearson. It is, though, Michael Shin who leads, but what a start from Yevon David there.
You won't see a better start to a race this weekend, potentially this year. Yevon David, we know he's good. Didn't realise he was that good. Took the outside line into the chicane yesterday to take the win. He's taken the outside line again on the first corner of race number 2.
It was
from
Garfias.
6th up into 2nd position through about 4 corners. Just remarkable from the young Sri Lankan.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there. We got Jose Garfias with the spin earlier on. We got confirmation it was indeed him that spun coming out of Les Combes. The rain has apparently, in accordance to race control, they've asked the drivers to put the rain lights on. So they've deemed this session wet. But obviously they're all using the slick tyres still. So no changes in that department. But obviously the rain lights are on, considering the conditions here at Spa-Francorchamps. A little bit of movement further back as we now see drivers coming side by side once again. The 24 of Ed Pearson now coming under threat here from Timek Kaharczyk. A late move in the day there. I think Vladislav Ryabov on the attack, and certainly is, has managed to get his nose in front of Finn Green as they now look to cross the line, but he's also towing along Diego Della Torre, or should we say Diego Della Danger, based on what his team present him to be, coming through towards turn 1. Diego unsuccessful on that occasion. It is still Vladislav Ryabov now taking this 5-car contingent through Rouge and Radion. Just to confirm, Michael Shin registering the fastest lap of the session thus far with a 2:14.866. But it's Ryabov now coming up through Rouge.
As we know, Michael Shin, 3 second places, not the best race first weekend here at Spa yesterday. This is the first time that we started on pole. Yevon David looking to go again round the outside. Michael Shin holding onto the centre. It will be okay this time through towards Les Combes and Bruxelles. And then the 5-car stack behind them. Little bit of touchy-feely, all through safely. Finn Green leading the way over Ryabov, Della Torre and Sean Rashid. We've got 2 races on here, folks. The race for the lead, Shin and David, then the rest of the field.
Ryabov managed to get ahead of Finn Green as well, getting the move done, coming in towards Les Combes, so well done him for that. At the moment, though, it's still Michael Shin who leads the way at the moment, and trying to keep a very rampant... a car going off wide. I think that was Everett Stack. My goodness, how did he keep control of that one? That was an unbelievable bit of car control there from Everett Stack in the face of danger, and that promotes Ed Pearson now into 3rd, and Timek Kaharczyk now up to 4th as well. A little bit of a moment coming down through Podium. That can happen, certainly where it comes to changeable conditions. Like I said, the rainfall came down at 5 a.m. this morning, so the drivers, the teams have had to sort of weigh up the decision-making as to how they look ahead to this race. Obviously, it can come down to setup, it can come down to the very tyre compound you pick, but obviously they only have the dries and the wets to choose from. So when you get that crossover, it can be very tricky to manage, but of course nowhere near enough spray coming off this circuit to at least deem it suitable for wet tyres. Obviously, slicks being used by all drivers on the grid. Michael Shin still with the race lead, has held it since the very start, but Yevon David is poking around looking for an opportunity, as is Timothy Kaharczyk, who is now looking to uproot Ed Pearson as these two meet once again here out on track. Further back, Everett Stack now down into 5th place with Vladislav Ryabov, who's now started to move away from Finn Green further back, and Diego Della Torre is getting closer to the back of Green as well.
Yeah, we speak a lot about Yevon David. Timothy Kaharczyk is the other young man that needs a lot of praise here. He's had a lot of great races, yet to pick up a win in this championship. He's currently behind Ed Pearson and ahead of Everett Stack in this little trio. He'll want to break free of that as soon as he possibly can to chase down Yevon David and Michael Shin at the front. Yevon David round the outside, the long way up the Camel Straight, his foot down to the floor, and he takes the lead. Yevon David, looking for his 4th consecutive win, will lead Michael Shin into Le Combe. And Timothy Kaharczyk moves into 3rd place.
Wonderful move there from Kaharczyk, managing to drag himself past Ed Pearson as well, coming up through Kemmel Straight. So now once again, the giants of this series now looking to come and draw swords once more. A little lock up there from Everett Stack as he makes his way around Rivage. But Yevon David, lovely move past Michael Shin as they dance together, heading up through towards Les Combes. Could it be yet another victory in hand here for Yevon David to make it 4 on the spin? I mean, that would be extraordinary.
It would be. How many times have we seen 4 on the spin? We've seen 3 wins in a weekend on very rare occasions. That's what he's going for right now. Here's the start earlier on when Yevon David, that was him going from 3rd into 2nd. Here's the touch behind them. I think that's being investigated. If that's 2:99, yes, it will be. So that will be looked at during the race, and maybe some instance elsewhere. This is the push around the bus stop chicane.
Elbows out.
It was indeed Rybov pushing out Finn Green. And there's a little bit of a spin. Oh, there's the big spin going out. That was Everett Stack, wasn't it?
Yeah, just going out very wide at Podium. A little bit of touching and argy-bargy for the back and some shredding as well off the front end of the... I think that must be the Nielsen racing car. I'm not sure whether that was Ed Pearson getting caught there as well, as they now make their way through towards the bus stop chicane to begin the next lap. We've still got 11 laps to conclude before we bring an end to the race, as we now wait. Now, there is a yellow patch showing just outside of turn 3 and 4 at the top of Eau Rouge and Radion. But Yevon David, now with the race in, indeed, this could be the reason. That's Jose Garcia. No, that's Diego Della Torre, I believe, out there. Yes, it is Diego Della Torre. The driver, unfortunately, now routed down in P11. So, an unfortunate moment there for him. It looks like it's going to be an end to his race right now. So that explains why there is a patch of yellow just outside of turn 4 there. Yevon David, though, undeterred, up at the very front, has grown his gap now to 0.8 of a second, with Michael Shin now in 2nd place. In comes the 69 of Finn Green as well, coming in to remonstrate with his team, obviously have a conversation as to where they might be losing something. Maybe there was a little bit of damage. Maybe that was the front wing that we saw fly off earlier on in the replay. We did, of course, see a Nielsen racing car, what looked to be a Nielsen racing car anyway, coming out of turn 1. And from our rear side of view, we couldn't quite see who it was, but it looks like it may have been Finn Green, who now makes his way into the pits to perhaps have that investigated. But it's Yevon David who leads, Michael Shin in 2nd, Timothy Kaharczyk still remains in 3rd and trying to close down to our front 2. It is still very much open season in terms of the victory here in this particular race, and Timothy Kaharczyk, out of every driver, he is the fastest man out on circuit. He went and did the fastest lap of the race thus far after setting a 2:10.665, which was just under 0.04 of a second faster than Yevon David right at the top.
Timothy Kaharczyk was the fastest in Portimao as well through all of practice and racing, doing that form again here at Spa. Currently in 3rd, of course, took that 2nd place yesterday after leading into the very, very final stages. He'll want a bit of revenge over first Michael Shin and then Yevon David. Michael Shin in 2nd, a place he is very, very used to. 4 finishes so far, 3 of them in 2nd position. Nice move up the inside towards the chicane. Not going to be taken That was the number 9, Everett Stack, looking to gain one position into 4th on Ed Pearson. And Yevon David, gotta say it, looks like he's moving away.
Yeah, it's starting to build that lead at the front. It's 1.4 seconds now. Remember, that was approximately 8/10 not too long ago, coming out to the 3rd sector in towards the start of this very lap, with 9 now to go. So they now fly up through Eau Rouge and rally on once again. Yevon David, also part of the rookie contingent as well, lifting the rookie trophy aloft after yesterday's race, as now we see some side-by-sides further back. Everett Stack and Ed Pearson looking to duke it out over 4th place. Indeed, they will go wheel-to-wheel as well. Timothy Kaharczyk also on the attack of Michael Shin, and they're going to try and go side-by-side coming through Les Combes this time around, as now Ed Pearson goes fully defensive against Everett Stack this time, and indeed Pearson will remain in 4th. But obviously, whilst these two battle, it will draw them back from the 2 runners that currently sit in 2nd and 3rd, and not to mention Yevon David, who currently leads this race.
And Yevon David just set a new fastest lap, 2:10.587. Takes a couple of hundredths off the fastest time previously by Timothy Kaharczyk. So Yevon David in the clean air, getting faster and faster. And that is not what Kaharczyk will want to see. He will be desperate to get past Michael Shin, but he's not close enough right now. Michael Shin looking absolutely solid in 2nd position. Ed Pearson holding off Everett Stack. It's a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. There are 9 laps remaining. Plenty of time for change.
Yeah, and also there's been track limits warning has been handed out to Michael Shin and Ed Pearson as well. Race control watching on as a car makes its way into the gravel. Now, I think that might have been Ed Pearson taking a detour, coming through Campus and Stavelo, just licking up some of that gravel on the left-hand side. That's not going to do you any favours in terms of gaining any traction against those in front, so it's going to allow Timothy Kaharczyk to barrel onwards. But speaking of barreling onwards, Yevon David, after setting that fastest lap in the last lap of a 2:10.587, the only driver in the 2:10s at the moment, is now rallying outside. Comes Everett Stack with another look, this time on Pearson, coming through the bus stop chicane. The very scene of where we saw Yevon David go ahead and take the race victory. And this is almost a carbon copy, as now Pearson now looks to mount a challenge back in return in a bid to return in the Civ. We ride on board now with the young Brit, Ed Pearson, as they come through La Source. The better line taken by Everett Stack, able to cover off any approach from Pearson on the run through La Source. So that is Everett Stack up into 4th place now as we make our way around with 8 laps still remaining. But look at this, Kaharczyk now on the tail of Michael Shin as they fly up through Eau Rouge here, Ewan.
If Everett Stack can hold on to 4th place, that would be his best finish of the season. He had 2 5th places, and Timothy Kaharczyk alongside Michael Shin. He's going for the 2nd place position. He'll get it into Les Combes, and now firmly in his sights, it's going to be Yevon David, fast becoming a major rivalry, and behind them Everett Stack continues to hold off Ed Pearson. We ride on board with Pearson, the young Brit, the flashing red light in these wet, not quite wet conditions. Everett Stack in front of him. They'll both be chasing 4th. Ed Pearson didn't go his way yesterday. Can he catch Everett Stack, the American?
Just look at the rotation that car carries as well, and the rear end just sticking out a little bit. They're still dicing with these reasonably slick conditions that they have out there on circuit. Obviously still embracing the slick tyre, but Timothy Kaharczyk now has been allowed a free rein after overtaking Michael Shin to now attack Yevon David. Here this time around, it's the battle from yesterday. It resumes once again. This juggernaut of a contest between 2 drivers that have certainly shown that they have got plenty of pace here in this Dallara 324 chassis. And what a start to life with the Dallara 324. The Euroformula Open has had too. There's Kai Degenhardt, of course, in the right-hand side, just sat down on the right-hand side of your screen, watching on one of the senior engineers of this Motor Park team lineup. And again, rain droplets appearing on the camera as well, Ewan. The rain still continues to fall.
It could play absolute havoc. We've still got 8. We're not even halfway through this race yet. It already feels like plenty has happened. There's the number 3. That is Timothy Kaharczyk. He has got Yevon David in his sights, but he's over 2 seconds back at the moment on our screens. Michael Shin holding on to 3rd, and that looks like a solid 3rd position right now as he lets the battle behind them. Everett Stack still holding on Ed Pearson, and that could go all the way to the very bitter end. But Yevon David trying to build that lead. He'll have one eye in front, one eye looking back the way. New fastest lap by Timothy Kaharczyk, a 2:10.387. That is 0.3 quicker than the fastest of Yevon David.
Yeah, and also over the last lap was around 4 tenths quicker than Yevon David over that last lap. So Kaharczyk now reeling in the big fish, as we have often seen. And I did wonder what was going on with Ed Pearson there, because it was a slow exit coming out of turn 1 at La Source, and that's going to cost him quite a level of time as well. So now sits in P5, quite a ways off Everett Stack, 2.4 seconds of the realm. So that has gone out quite dramatically. And I was looking with squinted eyes, trying to see what went wrong there. Oh my goodness. Well, that's a clear issue there for Timothy Kaharczyk, taking a wide excursion. There's a car off as well, and clear damage.
Oh, wow.
A rear wing has been left out onto the circuit. Race yellows by the marshals. Everett Stack has unfortunately crashed into the barrier, coming in towards Jackie Expen. The rear wing is still in the centre of the circuit, so the marshals obviously just letting the drivers know that they will, of course, have to raise yellows, and safety car, no surprise whatsoever. We're around the halfway point of this race now. Everett Stack bringing an end to his race. We'll see what happened here. Now, first of all, we saw Timothy Kaharczyk running wide, coming through Jackie X, but a wider line was taken. The understeer creeping in due to the slick conditions out on track, and Everett Stack into the barrier with clear suspension damage as well. Here's the view from Ed Pearson as he avoided the damaged car at all costs, heading downhill through towards Pouhon. But a great opportunity for him now to recover with the fact that the safety car is now out on circuit. Again, an olive branch offered out. Now, whilst obviously Kaharczyk made that error and lost time on Yevon David, that Delta's going to come crashing down there with the safety car.
Kaharczyk is going to be licking his lips.
He will.
And ready for the restart. They're going to get probably 4 racing laps. This is going to be at least 2, I'd imagine, under the safety car. So 4 racing laps. What are the odds Timothy Kaharczyk will wait until the last lap, the last corner, to go out wide and do the return deed on Yevon David? We have got another brilliant finish lined up here. Michael Shin sat in 3rd. Let's not forget him. He'll have dreams now of another 2nd or potentially a win. Well, let's do it. This is going to be absolutely wonderful. Don't go anywhere, folks.
No, well, a safety car, series of moments led to our very finish from yesterday. But now it's roles reversed, essentially, because Kaharczyk was at the lead of the fight, obviously coming into the final lap. Yevon David then had to get the move one and done. They were swapping continuously yesterday over the race lead, and I'd say that trend is likely to continue. And Kaharczyk is going to have, absolute venom on his mind. If you remember yesterday as well, on the podium, he was so disappointed after not being able to take victory, and you could see the disappointment when he just stormed off the podium.
Yeah.
Now coming here this time around with another opportunity to take the fight to Yevon David, to enlist BVM a race win for the first time this season as well. And they have had such a storied history of BVM and Motor Park in this series, with Francesco Simonazzi trying to keep the forces of Oliver Goethe at bay, Brad Benavides as well in the past. Now it's a different kettle of fish. They've got Timothy Kaharczyk leading this team, and the fight between BVM and Motor Park will go on.
Yeah, you couldn't help but laugh from our point of view. Yevon David and Diego Della Torre on the podium yesterday, celebrating with champagne. Timothy Kaharczyk wanted absolutely none of it. Picked it up, walked straight off back to his garage. Now, the other person that benefits here massively is Jose Garfias.
Yes.
Because he was running around the track about 3/4 of a lap behind. He is now going to pick up the rear of this group. And although he's only going to be still in 8th of 8 cars remaining, just gives him an opportunity that there was absolutely not present to him about 5 minutes ago.
And we're forgetting the maestro of yesterday, Michael Shin, who if he hadn't been tagged by Everett Stack in yesterday's race, things could have largely worked out differently for Shin as well. And he sits 3rd as the marshals get to work on sweeping away some of the gravel. Well, I say some, there's lots out there at the moment. So credit to the marshals for clearing up what is left out on the circuit at the moment. But there's Michael Shin at the moment, probably ruining after what happened yesterday, where he got uprooted after arguably being the most consistent driver on the grid in Portimao at the very start of the season. Second with the fastest lap in that last race of asking back at Portimao. Let's have a look at this from Ed Pearson's viewpoint. Again, this time there's Everett Stack's car just making its way back out onto the circuit. Obviously, rear wingless at that juncture. And a little pop there, now, obviously, as Pearson took that very wide line to the left-hand side, just trying to avoid all danger possible. Obviously, with the way that the track is laid out here at Spa, they do have the benefit of that little escape road that takes you through out of the danger point at turn 9. So it does offer the marshals a little bit of respite in order to be able to clear up that debris that is littered across the circuit. So it does offer quite a weight of efficiency in circumstances like this. But as it stands, Finn Green also still in the pits as it stands, so not joining us under the safety car right now. So there are the top 9 that will continue behind the safety car for now. Everett Stack, well, actually saying that top 8, Stack is still recorded 9th on our timing screen. Jose Garfi is currently the last of the runners, locked in behind Sean Rashid at the moment. But it's Yevon David on top in a bid to continue his championship lead. And I'm sure there's going to be a huge support base back at Sri Lanka cheering him on as we now witness yet another blockbuster moment between David and Kaharchik. But you can enter other names into this: Shin, Pearson, Ryabov. And what about Fernando Barrichello? 6th place at the moment with a great chance to turn his weekend around.
Yeah, do you know what? A good shape. He's kept pretty quiet this race. No incidents, as there. Just sort of slowly picking his way. 6th place on the restart. It's only going to be, what, maybe a few seconds behind the leader.
And he has won in wet conditions as well. Back at Austria, his first win in the Euroformula was in a very wet weekend at Austria. Now, I'm not saying that we are anywhere near those conditions. We certainly aren't. I mean, it's only drizzling at the moment, but Barrichello still has a great chance here.
Just bringing you up to date with the championship leaderboard. Of course, Yevon David on 91 points. Michael Shin on 63. That is a 28-point deficit. Then you've got Ed Pearson on 55, 36 back. And Timit Kaharchik, who we're lining up as the big competitor towards Yevon David, actually 40 points right now after just 4 races behind the championship leader. So Timit Kaharchik, not just for points, but for his title ambitions, could really do with either in this race or having a great 3rd race later on this afternoon. By the way, that race this afternoon is scheduled for 10 past 5. It will be the last race of the entire weekend here at Spa. Safety car is coming in this lap. What tactics will we see by Yevon David? Will he try and hold back the entire field, then go foot down? Or will he go early? We've seen lots of variations, of course.
Would not be surprised to see Michael Shin lose interest in 2nd places after his raft of them back at Portimao. He'll have only one interest, and that is P1 here at this point. But the safety car, yes, coming in this lap. Ewan Dunlop, you are absolutely correct. Fastest lap currently in the hands of car number 3, belonging to Timit Kaharchik at the moment. So he will get the points benefit for that. But let's see how this unfolds. The queue currently being congested up by Yevon David as the safety car continues now down into the pits, and very shortly it'll all come down to Yevon David to get us back underway as he now comes out of Blanchimont. Was Main Sports Bar watching on, I'm sure, back at home, as they always do with their huge raft of Sri Lankan fans, but also the Polish fans will be cheering on Timit Kaharchik.
He's gone.
He certainly has. Foot to the floor now as he now ventures in towards the bus stop chicane to bring an end to this very lap. Oh, he's gone wide on the escape now. Is that going to cost him momentum coming out of the final corner at turn 19? Because now, as they put pedal to the metal for the 2nd time in this race, Kaharchik may have been thrown a bone. Here now with 4 laps to go. A look to the inside indeed as they get back underway, and a lock up again from Michael Shin. Oh my goodness me! And again, Michael Shin involved in another incident after a safety car, and it's led to him uprooting Yevon David after a lock-up. It's Timit Kaharchik with the race lead now once again, and now the die is cast with the fortune favouring the pole, as now he leads here in this race with Ed Pearson, Vladislav Ryabov, and also Fernando Barrichello giving chase.
And I think Michael Shin's out. He was really slowing down coming up towards Eau Rouge. Really, there's Yevon David. Michael Shin, there's going to be terminal damage. He's far too far behind here, and there's smoke coming out the back of that car. Timit Kaharchik under pressure at the front as well from Ed Pearson. Oh my goodness me! They go round Le Combe towards Brazil. Kahacek holds on. He's not had much luck in this championship so far. He needed some this weekend. We mentioned the points tally. He needs to make up 40 points on the championship leader. This is all going Kahacek's way for now. Michael Shin, is he still in this race?
Major questions asked by Ed Pearson on Timek Kahacek coming through Lacom. They dance together. Coming through out of the first sector in towards sector 2, Ramal Mehdi, but it was Kahacek who was able to defend the place. BVM have seen fortune favour them now with this remaining stint in this race, seeing 2 of their drivers inside the top 3, with Vladislav Ryabov currently sat in 3rd, embracing the same livery that was donned by the Italian stallion Francesco Simonazzi in seasons gone by. But Kahacek, representing the same Italian outfit, leading this race. Once again, he is a leader here in the Euroformula Open Championship, but looking to take it to the checkered flag. But Ed Pearson, the first winner in a Dallara 324 in this series, is going to look to take him all the way. Also making ground, Fernando Barrichello, after having a real upset yesterday, crashing the car, coming through Jackie X, looking for a reprieve as he now dices it out with Ryabov, coming down into the bus stop. Can he get the move done? No. Renegues for now, but he'll have another chance as Ryabov gets a poor exit, coming down through towards turn 1.
So here's our front six, and David on the back of this 6-car train. Timek Kahacek doing exactly what he needs to do, round La Source. There goes Ryabov, Barrichello chasing hard. Barrichello looking for his first podium of the season. This will be the best chance he has this weekend, I imagine. Ed Pearson not giving up, a great chance for him on the first lap after the restart. And he is going absolutely nowhere, all over the tail of the pole.
And what about Sean Rashid as well coming into this? He retired in the first race of the season, 11th after that, 8th after that at Portimao. Now he's in conjunction for a big potential podium finish, as now we see a dance further up. Ed Pearson taking the lead here, now this time off Timek Kahacek. They storm up through towards out of Lacom. Sean Rashid around the outside of Fernando Barrichello, can't quite get the move done. The Brazilian holds him back. The man from the States gave it his all, just wasn't quite successful. But look at Yevon David. He's caught up with them. He's back in this lead fight, this podium fight. He has come out of nowhere after the spin earlier on, after making contact with Michael Shin. This is the moment again. Front wing hitting the rear wing. Indeed, between Michael Shin and Yevon David. David went round, coming in towards La Source. And you do have to wonder, has Michael Shin got some serious damage? He is in the pits and having his car looked at, but Yevon David continuing and has now managed to catch up with those drivers right at the highest end of the order. And you can see the reaction in the motor park garage, dismay on the face of it, and there is the clear damage on the front nose cone. The front wing separated to a certain degree off that Dallara 324, but just look at Yevon David. He is back with a punch and now on the tail of Sean Rashid.
We started with 12 cars, there's only 6 remaining. They are in a pack, this could be anybody's. Ed Pearson, what a restart he's had. What a day he's had so far. Can he hold on? It's a 0.6 of a second lead too. Oh, here comes Kahacek though, looking up the inside, says no. Into the bus stop chicane. Oh, 6 cars lock up by
that's Rashid.
Yevon David moves into 5th position. He's still going to pick up good points here. This is absolute chaos.
Brilliant stuff from Yevon David. Got the move done even way before the lockup was carried out by Sean Rashid, as they now fly out of La Source again. This time Ed Pearson with a chance to grant Nielsen their second victory in this championship. Obviously, since his victory, it's gone the way of Yevon David 3 times in a row. As they now fly out of Eau Rouge, Pearson really needs to hang on. We've got 2 minutes and 15 or just over so to go. Fernando Barrichello also on the attack, but here comes Timek Kahacek. He retakes the lead of the race. Here comes Ryabov. Barrichello looking to enter the top 3 fray as they now go side by side, coming in towards Lacom, dancing across the circuit. It is Kahacek now with the race lead, and Ryabov holding on with Barrichello in behind.
This is just incredible. This could be any of 5 here. Yevon David all over the back of Barrichello, looking to take 4th position. In front of him, it is Vladislav Ryabov. But Kahacek leading Ed Pearson. They've switched places 4 times in the last 2 laps. I wouldn't bet against it happening again. Just off the back now, Sean Rashid just trying to hang on to the back of this pack.
I'm absolutely gobsmacked at the moment, I have to say. We watch from the garages right now. Nielsen Racing obviously waiting, living in hope, I should say, that Ed Pearson can get a little bit closer and mount a challenge for that P1 yet again. Yevon David, how has he done this? How has he dragged his car right back up with the lead runners after getting spun through La Source? He sacrificed a huge amount of time. I do want to also mention that Fernando Barrichello has gone purple in the first sector, so once again he's starting to turn up the heat. But it's a personal best as well from Yevon David, who is not too far away from Barrichello's purple first sector time. Is now here with 2 laps to go. Next lap will be the final one. It's Timoš Kaharčík here at the moment leading the race, but Ed Pearson all over his tail. Back again comes Ryabov with Barrichello in behind him as they hustle. Coming through the final 2 corners, through the bus stop chicane now out of turn 19. They will cross the line now. Final lap underway. Yevon David on the tail of Barrichello. Of course, looking to try and reduce any points deficit. Now, the good thing for Yevon David is that he has at least gained 1 place on where he started. Remember, he started P6 due to the reversed conditions we have for both qualifying and race starting grids for the remaining 2 races this weekend. We do, of course, have another one coming up later on this afternoon as they fly uphill through Eau Rouge and Raidillon. It is still Kaharčík who holds his own right at the top, but there is still big question marks over P3 at the moment, and also equally question marks over P1 too, with Ed Pearson looking to try and close the gap this time on Kaharčík. Here comes Barrichello. He moves into 3rd, and Yevon David looking to follow him through as well. Might yet challenge Barrichello for a double overtake, goes off track. So does Ryabov, so they will not make the move. Barrichello holding firm to P3, but Yevon David might still try his luck with a podium still up for grabs.
This is the final lap. Barrichello 1 win last year, looking for his first podium of the season. Yevon David, leader by over 25 points in the championship, will retain that advantage into the final race. But what will the points gap be? Timoš Kaharčík looking so strong now as they fly around Podium towards campus. This is surely his to lose. Ed Pearson, second best finish of the season if it maintains like this. Yevon David all over the tail of Fernando Barrichello. Can Barrichello hold on to that 3rd step, or is it going to be snatched away by the absolutely sprinting Sri Lankan?
Have to wait and see. At the moment, his podium record will come to an end here in race 2 at Spa. He has finished on the podium in every race since Monza at the end of last season, but now currently sits in P4 unless he can pull something off, much like he did against Kaharčík, coming into the bus stop chicane. But as they exit out of Blanchimont corner this time, Kaharčík on the other end of the sword this time. He is now entering into the final 2 corners on this lap to bring it home in favour of BVM, who are looking to close out a first win of the season and a first one in the Euroformula Open for Timoš Kaharčík. He wins in race 2 here in the Euroformula Open Championship here at Spa, with Ed Pearson back on the podium once again after winning in his very first race in a Dallara 324. Here was the moment where Barrichello moved into 3rd. Yevon David tried his luck around the outside, both he and Ryabov going off track, coming through Les Combes. But what a dazzling display from Yevon David to recover in the manner that he did. Who'd have thought that after the spin, after the collision between himself and Michael Shin, he would fight tooth and nail to return and reduce the deficit. And he did it so quickly as well. But here comes Timoš Kaharčík, who has had so much misfortune through the course of this season. You go back to Portimao, arguably should have had 2 race wins in the palm of his hand. After the false starts were a prevalent issue back at Portugal, he came here to Belgium after practicing those starts. They have not been an issue this weekend. He had his chance in yesterday's race, race 1, losing out to the final corners against Yevon David, but he's a race winner here for the first time in the Euroformula Open Championship here in race 2. And it's the first one of the season for BVM. Giuseppe Mazzotti's leading man takes his first victory of the season for BVM. Ed Pearson delighted, I'm sure, with his 2nd place. Could have been a little bit more, but for Nielsen Racing, that is an important result. Fernando Barrichello, also a very important result for him and his first podium of the season's campaign. And to come back like he did as well, Ewan, after the big crash yesterday, speaks immense volumes of his character.
does indeed. Absolutely delighted for him and his garage. Been a long time coming. 5th race of the season, finally get their podium. And he did it the right way. Just kept out of trouble, didn't he? Until the last couple of laps. We mentioned it during the safety car period that, you know what? Barrichello just plotting his way through this in 6th place, waiting for opportunities, and when they came along, he absolutely took them. But for Timothy Kaharczyk, it was always a matter of when, not if. He was always going to win this season, finally gets it done, race 2 at Portimao.
Certainly does. Take you through the final race result classification from race 2. Timothy Kaharczyk is a winner for the very first time in the Euroformula Open Championship and a first for BVM this season. Ed Pearson in 2nd, back on the podium once more. Fernando Barrichello returns to the podium as well for the first time this campaign, finishing 3rd with Yevon David. What a recovery drive to bring it into 4th and highest of the rookies as well. Vladislav Ryabov in 5th, Sean Rashid in 6th, Michael Shin after the contact with Yevon David finishing in 7th, and we lost Jose Garfias, Everett Stack and Finn Green out of the race. Diego Della Torre as well out of the race as well after he had a couple of issues and had to come into the pits. Now, of course, looking ahead to the rest of the weekend, we still have one more race to bring you, but let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship. It's 103 points. A century has been broken by Yevon David, despite not continuing the podium record, 4th place enough to lift him 26 points above Timothy Kaharczyk at the moment. But that win could be so important for the pole. Ed Pearson in 3rd, the young Brit still very much in the firing line as well. Plenty of question marks still to be had, but let's hear from Kaharczyk with Alfredo. We'll hear from him very shortly, in fact, folks. First and foremost, though, top 3. Let's go through it. Fernando Barrichello, a staggering performance after the crash yesterday, recovering brilliantly to stand at P3 on the podium. 2nd place for Ed Pearson. The young Brit tried as he might, but it's another podium success for Nielsen Racing that they will, I'm sure, enjoy. First fastest, though, and winner for the first time in the Euroformula Open and for BVM, Timothy Kaharczyk, and he's with Alfredo Filipponi.
Timothy Kaharczyk, you were not happy yesterday, but today everything went well, and after a great fight, your first win in the Euroformula Open.
Yeah, ultra happy. Yesterday was a bit disappointing to lose the win in the last corner, but we were struggling a bit with the engine and temperature, so I still did my maximum yesterday, and today was, all fine. I did my job. And yeah, super happy, super grateful to the team. The car today was really good, so yeah, couldn't be happier.
And now your championship is really launched.
Yeah, pretty much. After tough Portimao start, I think this weekend will be a bit calmer. I know what I had to improve, so especially the starts. And yeah, in these two races, I had pretty good starts. Obviously, the first lap in this race didn't go to our plan. I was stuck a bit in the traffic, but later on, I just maximized the pace, the potential, and yeah, really good race.
Well done. There will be more wins, we are sure. And now, time for celebration and Dabrowski march.
Thank you. Let's see how race 2 unfolded as it got underway as the lights went out. Michael Shin leading from the very front, got off to a very, very good start indeed as they then sent it down through towards turn 1. Of course, Everett Stack was joining him on the front row. It was a very clean getaway, a few lockups, but nothing of major concern. Yevon David, though, got the best launch of all, didn't he? Managing to move up from P6, originally into 3rd and eventually into 2nd. He would challenge for the race lead. Unfortunately, not challenging would be Jose Garfias after a little bit of contact coming through Les Combes. Everett Stack ran wide as well, coming through Pouon, therefore sacrificing a fleet of positions, allowing Ed Pearson to move on through, as well as Timothy Kaharczyk, the eventual winner. But then Ed Pearson would also fight his way into 3rd, but the front leaders would swap. Yevon David would move past Shin to the lead of the race, making his way through Les Combes, at least for a brief time. Timothy Kaharczyk nestling himself in 3rd place. Eventually, a little bit of an off would be met as well by Kaharczyk, but a bigger one from the car behind, that being Everett Stack, who hit the barrier coming out of Jackie X Bend, separating that rear wing out into the middle of the circuit, which was dodged by all the cars out on track, leading to a safety car. We got back underway, and after a poor exit out of the bus stop chicane, Yevon David would get collected by Michael Shin, leaving Kaharczyk out in front on his own, who would then make his way uphill with Ed Pearson as well. But they would fight and continue to scrap over that race lead. Pearson doing a great job to then take the lead for himself, the young Brit, who has not won since Portimao in race 1. But crossing the line, taking the checkered flag, would be Timothy Kaharczyk to take a long-awaited first win here in the series, and a first for BVM. and now he has the opportunity to stand tall on the podium. And what a support base this young man has. And the credentials that he has put together through the rounds of single-seater has certainly been impressive, and arguably as well a ripe talent for the future. Yevon David, I'm sure this rookie win is going to be, whilst it is a consolation prize, he probably would have wanted something a little bit more. But we are going very shortly to hear from the national anthem. And yes, here it is now. Well, P1 for the pole, something I'm sure he's going to get used to through the course of this campaign. I'm just so excited, Ewan, about the kind of outlay of talent we have here. I mean, Ed Pearson, we don't speak about him enough. He was absolutely brilliant at Portimao to take his first victory in the very first race of the Dallara 324. Back on the podium again, and he has now tasted every step of the podium this season after coming third back in race 2 at Portimao, along with the fastest lap. He's back in the podium, this time in second place for the first time this season. Fernando Barrichello also in podium contention. Timothy Kaharczyk now receiving his first place trophy, the first of its kind here for him this season. And I just love the fact that we've got the likes of Yevon David, Timothy Kaharczyk, I would say the two standouts
Absolutely.
that we're going to be seeing face off throughout the course of this year.
As a neutral for the championship, that is such a perfect finish to a race. Timothy Kaharczyk getting loads of points from Yevon David, him still getting his rookie podium place as well. Barrichello back where he sort of belongs on the podium places in third, then Ed Pearson in second. Love it.
Yeah, well, you can join us later on this afternoon. Join us for race 3 at 5:10 local time. Till then, goodbye.